Welcome to Cost Saver Conversations. I'm Angela, and I ask the practical questions so you can quickly understand what matters. Today, I'm joined by Asai.
Hi, Angela. We are unpacking rent versus buy in the UK, break-even truths, hidden costs, and smarter choices today, and tying it back to the wider cost-saver ecosystem, including tools like rent versus buy engine UK, break-even year, plus BOE rate, so you can turn insights into action quickly.
Just a heads up before we dive in, we are your synthetic hosts. We are great with numbers, but as AI, we can sometimes be confidently wrong. Think of us as the digital versions of your most knowledgeable, slightly caffeinated friends.
Exactly. Treat this chat as a smart estimate only, not as professional financial guidance. Always check important details with official sources or a qualified expert before making any big decisions.
Assad, I want to get straight into this one because it's something I hear constantly, like constantly. Renting is dead money. It's basically the national mantra at this point, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. It's the thing your uncle says at Christmas after 2 glasses of wine. And look, it's not completely wrong, but it's only half true. The reality is just so much messier than that one line suggests.
Messier how? Because I think for a lot of people, that's still the default, right? Like, I should be buying, I'm failing if I'm renting.
Yeah, and I get why people feel that way. Buy-in can be the better long-term choice, absolutely. But only, and this is the key bit, only when the sums genuinely work. And that means understanding something called your break-even year.
Okay, break even year. Talk me through it, because I'm guessing it's not just when your mortgage payment drops below your rent.
No, it's way more involved. So the break-even year is the point where your total cumulative cost of owning, and I mean all of it, the hidden stuff too, minus whatever equity you've built, becomes lower than the total cumulative cost of renting the equivalent property. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. So it's the whole picture, not just the monthly number.
Exactly. And here's the thing, that break-even point has shifted massively in the last couple of years.
How much are we talking?
Well, for a typical first-time buyer with a 10 to 15% deposit, historically it's sat somewhere between years 5 and 7. That was sort of the sweet spot. But in today's higher rate environment, many buyers won't break even until year 9 or 10.
9 or 10 years.
Yeah, and that's assuming steady house price growth, which is, that's not guaranteed either.
Wow, okay. So what's actually caused that shift? What's the biggest driver?
The Bank of England base rate, hands down, it's the single biggest lever on your mortgage cost, and it's gone from 0.1% to over 5% since 2022. I mean, think about that for a second.
That's enormous.
It really is. And the people who feel it most are the ones who they fixed at, say, 1.5% in 2021, and now they're coming off that fix and remortgaging at 5% plus. The difference is $300 to $500 a month. That's not a rounding error.
No, that's like a whole other bill appearing out of nowhere.
It's literally the price of a family holiday every single month. And if you want to put harder numbers on it, a $250,000 mortgage over 25 years at 2%, that's around $1,060 a month. At 5.5%, it jumps to roughly $1,535.
Right.
Over 5 years, that difference adds up to $28,500 in extra interest. Just gone. Wiped out a chunk of whatever equity gain you were counting on.
28,500. I hadn't thought of it in those raw terms. That's actually quite shocking.
And here's the bit people miss. Rate risk doesn't stop when you fix. When your 2 or 5-year fix ends, you re-enter the market at whatever rate is prevailing. A lot of the buying beats renting logic kind of quietly assumes rates stay low forever. History says otherwise.
So you're saying people should be stress testing their budgets, basically?
Absolutely. If your budget only works at your current fixed rate, you're not budgeting, you're gambling. You need to stress test at 2 to 3 percentage points higher than your current rate before you commit. I can't say that strongly enough, honestly.
Okay, so rates are a huge factor. But it's not just about the mortgage payment, is it? There are all these other costs that sort of lurk.
Oh, this is where I get really animated because this is where most online calculators just completely fall apart.
They compare rent to a mortgage payment and they stop. But real ownership includes this long list of expenses that renters never see.
Go on.
So upfront, beyond the deposit, for a $300,000 property in England, non-first-time buyer, you've got solicitor and conveyancing fees, usually $1,200 to $2,500. Property survey, anywhere from $400 for a basic one up to $1,500 for a full structural. Mortgage arrangement fees, often $999 to $1,499. Then removals, initial furniture, immediate repairs.
So it adds up fast. What's a realistic buffer for all of that?
We'd say 4 to 6% of the purchase price. So on a $300,000 home, that's $12,000 to $18,000 on top of your deposit. And honestly, a lot of first-time buyers they don't think about it until they're staring at the completion statement going, wait, what?
That's a nasty surprise. And then once you're actually in the house, the costs don't stop, do they?
No, the meter never stops running. Buildings insurance, that's $150 to $400 a year. Boiler servicing, budget $100 a year, and then more when it eventually dies on you. Roof, guttering, external repairs, all variable but unavoidable. It's all yours now.
And what about flats? Because I know that's it's a whole other thing, isn't it?
It's a completely different game, especially if you're looking at blocks above 11 meters. Service charges have been rising sharply. We're talking $1,500 to $4,000 plus a year. And then, post-Grenfell, the cladding remediation issues have made some flats effectively unsellable without an EWS1 form.
Wait, unsellable? Like literally?
Effectively, yeah. A flat you can't sell isn't an asset. It's a liability with a nice view. You have to check cladding status, remediation plans, EWS1 documentation before you even make an offer. People skip that step, and then they're trapped.
Oh, that's actually terrifying. Okay, so people are making these mistakes because they're not seeing the full picture. What are the biggest ones you see?
The biggest one, honestly, is underestimating how long they'll stay. Buying costs are so heavily front-loaded. Stamp duty, legal fees, moving expenses, they all hit in year one. If you sell within 3 years, you almost certainly lose money versus renting.
So what's the minimum, you'd say, to make it worthwhile?
5 to 7 years in most UK markets, longer in flat or declining areas. And I always think there was a real example, Priya from Reading. She bought a $280,000 flat in 2022 with a 10% deposit, then had to relocate for work in 2024.
Oh, no.
Yeah, between stamp duty, legal fees, estate agent fees on exit, and a flat market for two-bed flats in her area, she walked away roughly $14,000 worse off than if she'd just rented the same flat and put her deposit in a stocks and shares ISA.
14,000 just from misjudging the timeline. That's really stark.
And she did nothing wrong, you know? She misjudged how long she'd stay. That's it. Which leads to the next mistake people make, which is ignoring the opportunity cost of the deposit itself.
The opportunity cost. Right, because the deposit's just sitting there in the house. It's not...
Exactly. A $40,000 deposit tied up in a house isn't earning anything for you in the traditional sense. If you'd invested that in a stocks and shares ISA, earning a realistic 5 to 7% a year, that's $2,000 to $2,800 of foregone growth annually.
Oh, I hadn't really thought about it like that.
And over 10 years, compounded, that opportunity cost adds up to $25,000 or more. Any honest rent versus buy comparison has to subtract that from the buying wins column. Have I explained that clearly?
Yeah, no, that's really clear. You're not just losing what you spend, you're losing what it could have made. That's actually kind of a lot.
It is. And then there's the assumption, the big one, that UK house prices always go up, which, they've generally trended up over decades, but not smoothly and not everywhere.
Not everywhere?
Northern Ireland prices still haven't recovered their 2007 peak in real terms. Parts of the Northeast have been flat for years. Buyers who purchased at the top of the 2022 mini boom in some regions are already sitting on nominal losses.
So you have to assume modest, uncertain growth, not the 5% a year London saw in the 2010s.
So the national headlines kind of hide all of that regional variation.
Totally. And this is really important. The UK is not one housing market. What's true in Manchester is not true in Kensington. Buying tends to break even faster where rental yields are high and prices are moderate. So think Northwest, Yorkshire, Midlands, Scotland, Wales. There you might still see 5 to 7 years.
But London and the Southeast, I'm guessing.
Much slower. Where prices have run way ahead of rents, stamp duty is punishing because of high prices, and service charges on flats are substantial. Break-even can stretch to a decade or beyond, so you really need to run the numbers for your specific city and property type. A national average hides more than it reveals.
Fair enough. So if someone's listening right now and they're in the middle of this decision, what do they actually do, like practically?
Okay, well, the first thing is, if you're unsure you'll stay more than 5 years, honestly, just rent. The maths almost never works over short horizons once you include buying and selling costs. Use the difference to build your deposit and investment pot instead.
Right.
If you've got a solid 10% plus deposit and stable life plans, then model it properly. Don't just assume buying wins. Run realistic assumptions on rate rises, maintenance, house price growth, and check whether the break-even year actually fits your time frame.
And if you're buying a flat specifically?
Do all the leasehold homework before you fall in love with the place. Check the lease length, service charge history, ground rent trajectory, cladding status. A flat that looks cheap but has $4,000 annual service charges? Not cheap.
Not cheap at all. Okay, so you mentioned modeling it properly. What does that actually look like? Because I think people hear model it and they sort of glaze over.
Yeah, so here's what I suggest. Run 3 scenarios, a base case with realistic, kinda boring assumptions, then a pessimistic case, higher rates on remortgage, lower price growth, higher maintenance costs, and then an optimistic case, lower rates, steady growth, minimal maintenance.
Okay.
If buying wins across all 3, that's a really strong signal. If it only wins in the optimistic case, you're essentially gambling on the market cooperating with you. And if renting wins in the base case, well, you've probably answered the question, haven't you?
And how long does that actually take?
About 20 minutes with a proper tool. And given you're making a decision that shapes the next decade of your finances, that's cheap insurance.
Yeah, when you put it like that. Okay, one thing I want to mention, the break-even year itself, it's not just one fixed number, is it?
Oh, great point. No, it's more like a probability curve. Change your assumed house price growth by even 1% a year, and your break-even can shift by 3 to 5 years in either direction. So anyone who gives you one definitive number they're oversimplifying it.
That's wild. 3 to 5 years just from a 1% change in growth assumptions?
Yeah, which is why you run the multiple scenarios. It's the only honest way to do it.
Okay, so let me try and pull this together. The big takeaways for people listening. First, rent is dead money is from a different era. Low rates, rapid price growth, that's not where we are now.
Right.
Break-even used to be 5 to 7 years. Now it's more like 9 or 10 in a lot of cases. Hidden costs, the upfront stuff, the ongoing maintenance, service charges on flats, they're real and they add up. And the deposit has an opportunity cost that most people just don't factor in.
Exactly. And stay put long enough, ideally a decade or more. Stress test against rate rises, compare like for like, and if you're looking at a flat, do the leasehold homework. The buyers who come out ahead tend to share those habits.
And ultimately, it's not a moral question. It's a financial and lifestyle one.
That's it. The goal isn't to prove you were right to want to buy. It's to find out whether buying actually serves your future self. And honestly, those aren't always the same question, you know?
That's a really good note to end on, Assad. Thanks for breaking all of that down.
Anytime, Angela.
Quick side note, this guide connects with other cost-saver blogs, especially hidden risks of deferring home maintenance, UK cladding, EWS1 and mortgageability, and MEES, Energy Performance Certificate C, and landlord compliance mistakes.
Exactly. And reading those together helps you connect the dots across your household budget, not just this one topic in isolation.
And if you want to apply this immediately, jump into tools like Rent versus Buy Engine UK, break-even year plus BOE rate right after this episode.
Primary sources used here include UK Home with Keys and Calculator illustrating rent versus buy decision and Bank of England official bank rate history, so you can verify the data yourself and stay evidence-led.
That wraps this cost saver conversation with Angela and Assad. If this helped, share it with someone who could put these ideas to work this week.
Your next step is simple. Try Rent versus Buy Engine UK, break-even year plus BOE rate, then read hidden risks of deferring home maintenance and use them together to take action today.